Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome inside Garage Door Sports, your no-holds-barred weekly discussion on everything in the sporting world. For all your news on hockey, baseball, basketball, football, soccer, and more, you've come to the right place. And now it's time for your hosts, Nick McVicker, Kyle Vardy, and Irfan Manji. That's right, folks. We are back. Episode number 31 of the podcast. Nick McVicker still in quarantine by myself in studio. Lots of space here. But as always, joined through the Garage Door Sports Cup phone by my two co-hosts, Kyle Vardy and Irfan Manji. Kyle, how are you doing today, buddy?
No, another day, another dollar. Trying to survive with my family being all at home at the same time for the last, who knows how long. I've kind of lost count. So
Yeah, you guys are probably killing each other right now.
very close to it. Yeah.
And Irfan, how are you doing, man?
Doing great, man. Doing great.
Yeah, staying
Keeping
busy.
Trying to keep busy. Yeah.
Well, at
But
least
Kyle, if your family ever gets in a fight, I think your mom's gonna kick all your asses.
Yeah, she fights dirty. So yeah, I would not deny that whatsoever.
Well, today we are very, very lucky to be joined through the Cup phone by professional footballer, York 9 FC player Chris Mannella. How are you doing, Chris?
I'm doing good, guys. Thank you for having me.
Hey, we appreciate you coming on. We know everyone's trying to stay busy during this time, so we're trying to find content, and you happen to be willing to come on, so we appreciate it.
Yeah, no, of course. I'm trying to stay busy as well, so why not?
Well, let's get right into our interview with Chris in our kickoff segment, sponsored by Canada Kicking Academy, calling all kickers and punters in the Southern Ontario region. If you are looking for year-round professional development with elite competition, you need to train with the Canada Kicking Academy. The Ferraro brothers, Daniel and Gabe, are both University of Guelph alumni, and after illustrious university careers, they want to teach you all they know about football. If you want to take your special teams game to the next level, you need to train with the Canada Kicking Academy. Visit them at CanadaKickingAcademy.com and follow them on Instagram at Canada Kicking Academy. So, Chris, how are you doing with this whole pandemic being stuck inside?
I think as good as everyone else, to be honest. Boredom is settling in. Frustration that we're not playing is creeping up on me, but I'm doing what I can. I know that everything that I'm doing, everyone else is in the same boat, so it's not as bad as it could be. But I'm handling pretty well. Hopefully, it just doesn't keep going for much longer. But looks like it's not going to let up. But I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right as can be, I guess.
Have you or your teammates been able to stay in touch or stay in shape? Like, how do you do that, and like how this is all going?
Yeah. We talk pretty much every day. We have a WhatsApp group chat with all the guys, so we're always going back and forth with some banter and poking fun at guys. So that's always up there every single day. And for fitness, we have a fitness plan that they've given us, and we got to sort of follow and maintain and check in with our staff to sort of keep up with our heart rate and our kilometers and stuff like that. But the hardest thing is we don't know when this is going to end, right? We don't know if it's going to be a week or 2 weeks or 2 months. It's we don't know. So that's sort of the toughest thing that the staff has to deal with, the players have to deal with. It's just trying to manage our workload leading into the potential start of a season.
Right.
Yeah, and it's obviously been tough, and obviously you guys want to be out on the field, and that's the best part about soccer is being out playing with your teammates, playing in front of the fans. So
Exactly.
It's got to be tough. We want to talk a little bit about your career, and obviously you came through the Canadian system, and it's set up very differently than it is over in Europe. Do you think that affects the number of high talent players that we're able to nourish in our country?
Yeah, of course. I think it's tough, right? We see the flourishment of Alphonso Davies right now, Jonathan David overseas. These guys are huge name players, not only in Canada but all over the world now. They're doing it at the world stage, and I think the way it started, even when I was younger, around 13, 14, the system wasn't necessarily there, and things were still sort of being built. And my only option was really the provincial program before even TFC Academy was a thing. So everyone kind of funneled through the provincial system and then went to their clubs, prospectively. And then now it's completely different, right? You have these professional environments from when you're 10 years old, leading up to basically a first team. You could be any age at a first team contract. So I think the system now is set up perfectly for guys to play at a high level and then move on into bigger and better things, because these guys out there in Europe right now are smashing the game, and they're putting Canada on the map for us.
Yeah, speaking of the TFC Academy, like what was your experience growing up and going through that whole process?
Yeah, my experience was great. I'm forever grateful for that. And I came in at a time that it was new. It was a new thing. People were skeptical about it because they didn't know what to expect. MLS was still sort of looked at as not a major step in someone's career. Everybody really didn't want to go there, and that wasn't something people aspired to do. But for me, I took the sort of leap of faith with my parents' judgment as well to join the academy, and I was forever grateful for that. I made a lot of good friends. The system is very professional. It even kept getting better over my years there. And obviously, with the addition of the training ground later in my academy days was a huge step for that. Yeah, and I loved it. I mean, if you've ever had the chance to see that or see the way it's run, it's immaculate. It's perfect, and it's exactly what a young player needs. Maybe a little bit too much at times, because we were given meals every day and PlayStation and massages and stuff. So I
Right.
think that could be detrimental too. But for me, it's as a 17-year-old kid, 16-year-old kid, it was the best thing I could have ever asked for.
So after you left the TFC Academy and then joined Ottawa Fury for about 2 seasons, what was it like playing in Ottawa as a player? From a player perspective, I should say, and from an atmosphere perspective.
Yeah, in Ottawa was great. The city was a lot slower paced than what I was used to. I grew up downtown in Toronto, so I was used to sort of that lifestyle. But the city was fantastic. I grew into a second home for me. I ended up really, really loving the place, loving the people around me. The atmosphere was good. They took soccer very, very seriously. They really, really wanted us to do well, which I was really happy for. And yeah, and I look at that as a second home for me now. The people around the club and the fans were really supportive of me and even my family, which I'm forever grateful for as well. But yeah, I loved it. I loved it. I'm happy that soccer's back, because it was a blow to see it leave for a little while, but I'm glad it's back in the nation's capital.
Do you think that with this new Atletico Ottawa team, that it will, stand in Ottawa, that it will be successful in Ottawa?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Ottawa's a soccer city, and I truly believe that. The support that we were given at the Fury was really good, like I said, and I think with this addition of a CPL team, a Canada cross, Canada competition where they can compete against cities that I know the fans don't like. I think it'll be good for them. I think the support you'll see on that opening match at TD Place, whenever it may be, is going to be a big one for them, and I think they're all looking forward to it. Players, fans, staff, etc. So I'm excited.
Sweet, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So the CPL is obviously a league by Canadians for Canadians and is meant to build the Canadian game. But what do you think the real strength so far of the league has been? Obviously, it's only 1 year in, but it's growing as it is.
The strength has been, I think a lot of things. If you see, the competition level is quite high, and I'm not gonna lie. Hearing about the CPL, I was skeptical. I don't know if skeptical is the right word, but I was just sort of interested to see what it would be like in terms of level, fan base, stuff like that. And I was completely blown out of the water with how it was. My expectations for the level of play was blown out the water completely. The fans blown out of the water completely. Everything about it was amazing. So I think it's hard to pinpoint just one thing that it's doing. I think the major thing that it's helping is helping Canadian players grow and giving them the opportunity to showcase what they have, because right now we only really had 3 MLS academy systems throughout the entire country, and that's tough to break into for a lot of players, and especially when you have a limited amount of numbers. So I think the CPL opens up various amounts of doors for players, even like Max Ferrari, that you touch on him, and it just gives these players opportunities to show what they have and potentially move up in the ranks.
Has it given you anything personally so far? I know you just signed with York 9 this season, but
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It's given me an opportunity to come back home. Was is the biggest thing for me. Is there's a soccer team back in Toronto, which I'm forever grateful for because I didn't know once I left TFC if that was going to be my last time playing professional soccer in Toronto. So the fact that I was able to come back and play professionally in my hometown was something special for me. I love this city. If anybody who really knows me knows that I love this city through and through, and I love being home. I'm a homebody, and also even just the opportunity to work with Jimmy and other coaches and see faces around the league that I'm familiar with, and it's given me an opportunity to then also further my career and pushing into potential other opportunities. So we'll see how everything goes, but I'm excited to finally get my first game whenever it may be in the CPL.
you mentioned Jimmy. What's it been like learning from the Canadian legend prior to the whole shutdown?
No, it's been great. I've actually had the chance to work with Jimmy in the academy system at TFC. He was one of my coaches when I was 15, 16. So I have had the opportunity to work with him before, and we got along really well. And he was always around the first team when I was still in the youth system. So I know Jimmy pretty well, and I'm glad to be working with him again. He knows the game really well. He definitely pushes us to be our best, especially with the combination of our assistant coach Salteri, and they work well together. And from the short little period that we were working, it seems like it's going to be a good year. And it was kind of upsetting that it just came to a halt like that. But what can you do, right?
Yeah, can't be bad learning from two Canadian legends though, in Brennan and Stalteri.
Absolutely not. Yeah, you can try to soak in everything that they tell you. The amount of experience between those two guys is crazy. So might as well learn everything you can, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything that you would like to say to all the fans that are watching and waiting for this season to sort of take off?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've gotten messages already about how people are sort of frustrated that they can't come out to games, but I just want them to thank them first and foremost for sticking by us. I know it's not an easy time for anyone, um, but we're all in this together essentially. So there's, I hope that everyone is waiting and counting down just as we are for that kickoff, and I just want to thank them for everything because I know they're still supporting us. Personally, I know that I've been getting messages, like I said, so I just want to thank them because it's a weird process that they have to adapt with. There's no sports on right now and all across the world, but we'll see. I just want to thank them for everything and staying positive with us.
That's awesome. Guys, do you have any last questions you want to ask Chris?
No, I just want to thank you for coming on and talking to us and giving us a little insight into your personal history and obviously what you're going through right now. So
absolutely appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. I love being on. Obviously, if you ever need me again, call me and I'll be there.
Absolutely. Before you go, I got a question for you. Do you want to stay on? We're going to talk a little baseball and talk some movie madness. Do you want to stay on and join us, or?
I'm going to stay on for a bit for sure, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Well, that was our kickoff segment featuring the great Chris Mannella. And this segment is sponsored by Canada Kicking Academy, calling all kickers and punters in the Southern Ontario region. If you are looking for year-round professional development with elite competition, you need to train with the Canada Kicking Academy. Follow them at Canada Kicking Academy on Instagram or visit their website, CanadaKickingAcademy.com, for more information. So, Chris, I don't know if you follow us, which is fine, but we've been doing a movie madness bracket. So we split movies into 4 different regions by sport. So we have hockey, baseball, basketball, and football as our 4 regions. And we are now down to the regional finals. Right now in our regional finals for the hockey, we have Miracle and Mighty Ducks. For baseball, we got 42 and Moneyball. For basketball, we have Coach Carter and Space Jam. And then for our football category, we have Remember the Titans versus Longest Yard. Before we get into that, what is your favorite sports movie of all time?
I don't know if this is a sports movie or not. I guess it is Happy Gilmore. I think I'd have to say that.
That's a good one. It didn't make our list because we didn't have golf, but that's a good one.
You You could, in a way, like swing it that it would be a hockey movie technically.
We
You
we
could
could
swing
have.
it.
Yeah.
We could have. We didn't think about
You
that.
can find a way.
All right. Well, let's get
That
down
doesn't
to
work out
our.
too much.
Let's get down to breaking down the matchups that we have. So in the hockey region, it's Miracle versus Mighty Ducks. Obviously, Miracle being the great story of the U.S. triumph over the Russians in the Olympics, going up against the family fun movie of the Mighty Ducks. Kyle, how do you see this matchup breaking down?
God, this is a toss-up, to be honest. I think Miracle's the better movie, but I think if you're talking nostalgia, like we talked last week, like it all comes down to who actually votes. Like, if it's like people our age that are voting, like it could easily go Mighty Ducks, 100%. So, I honestly, I don't know.
All right, you got to pick one though.
I'm gonna go Miracle just because I think it's the better movie, and I think hopefully people know that.
All right, fair enough. Irfan.
Considering we're going to talk about an upset a little later on, I do think Mighty Ducks is going to win this one just because of that nostalgia factor. I mean, we're taking 3 of the Mighty Duck movies and, combining it to face off against Miracle. So bias is on my side, but I think Mighty Ducks has this one, even though the story and the situation and the historical factor was higher for Miracle.
For sure.
Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, all good points. I think I'm gonna go with Miracle as well. I like it. It's such a good movie. I think on a movie basis, it's up there. So it's got to be that one.
Nice. Yeah, I'm leaning Miracle as well. It's such a good movie in my opinion. They did such a good job telling the story. Mighty Ducks is going to be a tough battle though. Whoever comes out of this is a pretty strong contender for the final.
Irfan just loves the underdog story.
He really does.
I pick that every week.
All right, in our baseball category, we got 42 going up against Moneyball, both drama movies. So it'll be interesting to see how this one goes out.
Oh, I'm doing like interview now.
Hi.
No, it's okay.
Hello. Welcome to the show.
Who's that? There's 3 podcasters that we're doing with it. Soccer stuff and movie stuff. Actually, if you want a movie buff, this is the best one you can get.
Oh yeah.
Miracle on Ice, Mighty Ducks. What's the better movie?
Well, Mighty Ducks is for kids, and Miracle on Ice is the story of the Americans winning the gold.
Exactly. So if you had to pick one,
Wow, for you guys, Miracle on Ice, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. See.
Mighty Ducks is fine, but for kids.
See? Exactly.
I'm still a kid at heart. It's fine. It's completely okay.
I'm glad we all agree. All right.
Exactly. I'm
um.
telling you, that's the best opinion. That's the best opinion you can get. Sorry to interrupt, because this is the theater. So you know
Nice.
the stuff.
See,
You know the
getting
stuff.
behind the scenes looks right now. I love it.
Yeah. You know the stuff.
VIP access.
Yeah, can we get that
Yeah.
set up in your basement next time, Nick, so we can get a movie night going?
We'll work on it. All right, we'll work on it. So the winner of the hockey bracket will be going up against the winner of our baseball bracket, and as I mentioned, it's 42 versus Moneyball in the regional final. Irfan, what do you make of this matchup?
Oh, both, again, very good movies to pick from. They're both true stories. Great acting in both of them. And they're like top 2 favorites of mine, of course, but I'm going to have to go 42. I love the Jackie Robinson story. I love the acting in it. I like every part of it.
Well, it's another 1 versus 2 matchup, so we knew it was going to be close. Kyle, what do you got?
I'm just gonna keep it simple. It's 42. It's Moneyball's a contender, but it's really not at the same time. It's 42 all the way.
Fair enough.
Mhm.
Chris?
Not going to lie here, guys. I have never seen 42.
Wow. All right, well, now you have something to do in quarantine.
Exactly. I'll pop it and I'll sit back here and I'll put on 42. So you know what? I'm gonna pass on that one, because if I give an opinion, then it might be wrong. So I'm gonna say blank.
Fair enough. You know
How
what?
about-
We'll
how
allow
about
the
we
blank.
watch it and then tune in?
Exactly.
Yeah. I think 42 is one of the best sports movies of all time, and Moneyball is right behind it for me, but I think in this matchup I have to lean 42. Like, it's just so well done, and the storyline is so important to sports that it means so much more in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But what do I know, right?
That's a good question.
Yeah, we've been asking this for years, right, boys? Moving on to basketball. Another 1-versus-2 matchup. We got 3 of them. Coach Carter, our number 1 seed, going up against Space Jam, number 2. Coach Carter is one of my top 5 favorite movies across all genres, so that has my vote. But Space Jam is like 6 or 7, so it's still very hard for me to say that. But I pick Coach Carter. The movie is just so good, and it's a true story. It's hard to really beat. Kyle.
I'm going upset.
Upset.
I just think Space Jam, how it resonates with so many people, and just it's a great movie. It's a funny movie, and it's just how it resonates with people. I think it's going to get the vote over Coach Carter. That's how it works.
Fair enough. Irfan.
Same thing. I think it's an upset, if we can call it that. I think it's Michael Jordan's prime. It's the Looney Tunes. It's just everything that you want to see as a kid, and I'm gonna go underdog and go kids movie again.
It's LeBron versus Jordan all over again.
All right, Chris, round it out. Coach Carter or Space Jam?
I'm going with the upset. For sure. I heard both of them when I was in. It was a tough decision, but the amount of times I've been Bugs Bunny and Lola Bunny for Halloween has been incredible. So you know what? I gotta go Space Jam.
Man, I'm alone here on my own island. I'm on my island, boys. Yeah. All right, well, the winner of that matchup will face the winner of our football matchup, and the only not 1-versus-2 matchup in the regional finals sees our number 1 seed, remember the Titans, facing off against the number 6 seed, Longest Yard. Kyle, take it away, football man.
Oh God, I love Remember the Titans. That's one of my favorite movies. Just some of the quotes in there are the best. But honestly, I can see Longest Yard upsetting purely because people love that movie. There's so many, like, at the office, like, we quote everything from Longest Yard.
Hold on, we quote everything in that office. I would like to point that out.
Yes, but it's like, oh, I love Little Michael. It's like things like that we just randomly throw out, and I think Longest Yard gets the upset, to be honest.
Irfan.
I think it's the same. Longest Yard's beating Rudy. It's beating We Are the Marshalls. So I mean, it's not far-fetched to say it's gonna beat Remember the Titans at any point in time. And like Kyle said, everyone quotes it randomly. Like you'll go through Twitter and someone's talking about it, and you're like, okay, completely random, but with our Twitter following, I think, and our Instagram following, I think Longest Yard might have the edge, unfortunately.
Just to give you an update, it was almost unanimous that Longest Yard beat We Are Marshall. I think it only got like 3 votes for We Are Marshall, which I couldn't believe.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure one of those votes were me.
That's because people have never seen the movie. Like,
that might be true. Chris?
Longest Yard. I know I hate being that guy who just agrees with everything, but hey, Longest Yard. Gotta give credit where credit's due.
Man, I'm going to Remember the Titans, but I'm going to live on an island on this half of the bracket.
I was going to say, you might need a boat to get off that island soon, bud.
We have extra raft. Don't worry, in case you drown. Don't worry, we'll protect you.
This is kind of upsetting. I thought I was going to have at least one person agree with me. All right, well, I'm taking Remember the Titans. The movie's just so good, and as Kyle said, like you can quote lines from that movie too. Maybe not as much as Longest Yard, but you can still quote some. There's some really, really good quotes from that movie. So.
Left side, strong side.
So, I don't know. It'll be interesting matchup. So, we're going to have votes for the hockey and baseball one will be Monday, Tuesday this week. Football, basketball will take place Wednesday, Thursday. There will be 2-day polls on Twitter, and they will be, obviously, 1-day story polls on Instagram and Facebook. So, please make sure you vote so that your favorite goes through. And next week, we will set up the semifinals, which will be a lot of fun, I think. Seeing the cross-sport matchups will be interesting, but Before we go, I want to talk about news coming from the MLB about possible division realignment, which
Guys,
is
before you start the new topic, is it all right if I go and get my workout in? I'm gonna get some kilometers in and try to get the sweat on. Is that all right?
absolutely, man. Thank you for joining us. We really do appreciate it. We wish you the best of luck this season, and keep cheering on Max and Feroz in the ECPL.
Absolutely. Every single game I'll be watching.
Sounds good.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate
Of course, man. Best of luck.
Thanks.
Yeah, take care. Appreciate it.
See ya. Thank you, Chris, for joining us. Let's get into this MLB topic now. As I said, MLB is considering division realignment for the 2020 season so that they can play everything out of Florida and Arizona like they do in spring training. So they're going to have a grapefruit league and a cactus league. And basically they've split it into 3 regions within Florida and Arizona, not by normal division, but by location, so that the teams don't have to travel as much. Under this, the designated hitter would likely have to become universal just for one season, which means the NL teams would have to figure out a way to implement a DH despite not normally doing that. The divisions right now are looking like this. In the Florida Grapefruit League, the North Division has the Yankees, Phillies, Toronto, Tigers, and the Pirates. The South is Red Sox, Twins, Braves, Rays, Orioles. The West, Nationals, Astros, Mets, Cardinals, Marlins. And then in the Arizona Cactus League, the Northeast Division would have the Cubs, Giants, Diamondbacks, Rockies, and Athletics. West Division would have Dodgers, White Sox, Reds, Indians, Angels. And the Northwest Division would have the Brewers, Padres, Mariners, Rangers, and Royals. Now,
God.
What?
Mariners might make the playoffs.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
I see one team coming out of that division.
Well, it all depends how they do the playoffs. Like if it's per division or if it's just best overall record.
They're saying that they haven't really said, but the World Series would take place between respective league champions in a dome stadium in November.
Okay.
That's all that was said. We're reading this. I'm reading a score article for everyone wondering, and I'm just kind of putting stuff together. The teams would use their spring training facilities, and the whole point is to they would use their spring training facilities. Teams would only play games in their respective states and with no fans in attendance. Divisions would be realigned based on proximity of ballparks for ease of travel. So I also don't know if that means that these teams are only playing teams within their division to alleviate some of the travel to the far points, or if that just means, or if it just means that they're playing teams in Florida and they're mostly playing against teams in their division. I'm not really sure. So what do you guys think of this plan for the MLB?
Honestly, I think it's just trying to get the season going. I know we touched base on it last week and the week before, but creative ways to continue the league, continue some sort of fan support. And I mean, baseball hasn't started yet, and this is just their way of jump-starting something. And it's to get the fans talking. I mean, you look at a division, for example, you're going to look at the Jays, Yankees, Phillies, Tigers, Padres. The Jays have a legitimate chance to make a wild card position if they go with the regular format in terms of playoffs. But you look at these different teams; they're playing, someone different, and they have a legitimate chance of making headway. And I think it's just salivating if you're a fan.
Kyle?
Yeah, no, like I completely agree. Honestly, my family was actually talking about this last night, and I could easily see the Jays finishing second in that division if that's the case.
Yeah, either them or the Phillies, right?
I don't think the Phillies are that good, to be honest. Harper has been a bust. So, but you think about it, if they do the traditional format, that South division is just going to destroy each other, and the records are going to be either so close or just so far off that it's just crazy.
The poor
Like, you think about
Orioles.
the Red Sox. Yeah, like you think of the Red Sox, Twins, Braves, Rays. All those were playoff teams.
Well, they were all over 500.
Yeah, they weren't all playoff
the
teams.
Rays, so the Rays weren't playoff teams, but
They should have been.
pretty much a playoff team.
The poor
and then
Orioles in that
obviously the
division, though.
Orioles, who are just terrible. But, and then even in the other divisions, like Washington and Houston, are great there, but you know, the Mets up there, Cardinals. I don't know. Like it'd be an interesting thing for sure. The only division I would never watch a game in is the Northwest in Cactus League, because that is just god awful.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Brewers, Padres, Mariners, Rangers, Royals. No thanks.
You have one team in that division that's half decent.
That's Milwaukee, and even then, like, who knows if they're actually good or not.
Yeah, it's sort of a toss-up. But yeah, I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see if this comes into play. The MLB is doing creative stuff, like doing the Show Players League, with one representative from each team sort of partaking in that. For those of you who are wondering who's taking part for the Jays, Bo Bichette. And the first game went yesterday, and it looks like Amir Garrett beat Blake Snell in a... I don't know, hold on. In a controversial win? I'm trying to read this. It's sort of confusing. Oh, he suicide squeezed. Oh. He won on a suicide squeeze.
That's gutty.
Ballsy.
God.
Yeah. So at least they're trying to do stuff to keep people involved, just like the CPL is, right? Like, obviously, all the leagues are trying to do something. It's just hard. As far as the realignment goes, I think, Kyle, you're on point with the entertaining divisions. I'm also interested to see how the Dodgers, White Sox, Reds, Indians, Angels division plays out.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of big bats in that division. And could be interesting to see how they beat up on each other if that actually comes to play.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be an interesting thing, especially with this whole realignment. It's just rivalries we didn't have before potentially could pop up, or those NL pitchers who normally have a pitcher to pitch against now have to have a DH, so they don't get that free out that some pitchers are, right? Obviously, there are some pitchers that destroy the baseball, right? But
Bumgarner.
Yeah, but there's other ones that couldn't swing the bat if their life depended on it. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting in that aspect, because there's no free outs anymore if that's the case. So
no, for sure.
I also like how the DH is universal. I mean, I know the league's been talking about making it universal, in general. So this would be a good way of kind of seeing how it plays out, and if it works out, if it's feasible for the NL teams, like, I'm sure they have the bat and the power to do it. It's just now we're actually going to see it in motion if this plan goes through.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, the DH has sort of changed over the last couple of years. It's not necessarily the guy who just hits bombs on every team. Sometimes it's a guy who just gets on base, right? Who might not have a position regularly. He's just a good hitter. Sometimes that's what it works. So the NL teams are going to have to get creative, though, with their roster now if they have to put a DH in, as opposed to having an extra guy on the bench or an extra pitcher. You now have to make sure that guy's a DH, and you can maybe drop an extra relief pitcher or something.
Well, it's also because the new relief rule comes into play this year too, right? So the relievers have to pitch 3 batters. So
yeah,
are they going to play a factor? Are they going to run with that in terms of the new alignment league, or is it? Yeah,
I would assume so.
That was in place to start this spring training. So.
Good. No, I was just making sure, because I mean they're changing everything up. They might be a little lenient on it, but
I think it almost actually gets better, to be honest, because then I don't think they have to hold as many pitchers on the roster comparatively.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, you have that lefty specialist you would normally have before, which would pay face one guy and be gone out of the game after that. Now that lefty specialist has to face at least 3 people to get pulled out of the game. So you either take that chance and hope there's a lot of lefties in line, or there's some teams that might counter that and they might have a lot more batters on the bench and pinch hit. For a lefty guy who would be going up, that now you can put a righty in and get the better of that matchup. So
yeah, it'll be interesting. Irfan, did you want to say anything else on that, or?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, how many pitchers do we think are gonna say they have a blister after the first special pitcher they play? So if a lefty matchup goes up and then he's like, "Oh, look, I have a splinter now. I can't, or a blister. I can't pitch anymore." So how many times are we gonna see that?
I'm injured.
I think the MLB has rules in place for that, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't know for sure, so.
It was on the article I was reading. It showed that there was Tropicana, Marlins Park, and Chase Field available as well.
Yeah, so they.
What would that be for, though?
If they wanted to use, I guess, a proper facility rather than your spring training.
Trust me, the spring training facilities are ridiculous.
No, I get that. I'm just saying maybe they want to, give players the playoff experience or like that massive stadium experience. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they want to do. They might want to play like game of the week or something in one of those stadiums, right? And do like a big broadcast. I don't know. They mentioned that they are available if it's enacted. They didn't say how they would be used, right? Because again, this is still just speculation. There's no plan set in place. There's no plan set in motion. Just like all the leagues, they're all in this holding pattern right now. Like every league is trying to find ways to get games or events going. Like the NBA is doing that horse competition. The NHL is doing a players league sort of thing, aren't they? I know MLB is doing the players league. NBA is doing the 2K tournament. The CPL obviously is doing that eCPL home to play tournaments. Everyone's trying to find a way to get content out there and try to keep fans entertained during this time, and it's tough, and they all just want to get back to the playing facility. That's what Chris was saying. He just wants to be back on the field playing the game that he loves, and it's hard because right now it's not looking like it's going to happen by end of May. Some people are saying mid-August, which pretty much wipes out most of the MLB season.
Yeah, but honestly, it seems like the MLB is the one that's pushing the hardest to try and get their season going, is what it seems like.
Yeah, I would agree to that.
Just because every day they're having meetings or there's a new thing comes out that there's potential for this or this, right? Yeah. Where like NHL, it's maybe we'll come back, maybe we'll just skip the regular season. Who knows?
Well, I think every league is talking every day, though. The MLB is having stuff come out, but I think every league is talking every day.
No, and I get that, but I'm saying more that the MLB is actually willing to share it with people.
Oh yeah,
that they're having all options on the table. They're actually trying to, come up with unique ideas, and actually giving some knowledge for the public. Because other than that, like, people are just like, who knows when it comes back?
Yeah,
but I think they also have the luxury of doing all this because they haven't started yet, right? So they're looking at what the NBA is doing, what the NHL is doing, and trying to be like, okay, we can't do what they're doing. We're trying to navigate to something else, but it's also our main season hits, when it's warmer outside. So how do we play with that? So like, I think you're right. They're sharing a little bit more because they have so many different ideas to throw out. But I think the other leagues are still constantly talking about trying to bring the league back.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about it ad nauseum, but I don't know when any of these leagues are going to come back. We talked about basketball possibly being the first one based off numbers. I was talking with my dad about it this week, and realistically, to put a basketball game on, there's 70 people in the stadium.
Yeah, we counted that last week, yeah.
Right? Like, that's the sport with the fewest people in the stadium, and that's still 70 people. Like, it's a bit ridiculous. Now, he was also including, like, broadcast people and stuff like that, which, to be fair, you actually don't need anyone in the stadium for a broadcast if they use the remote cameras?
Yeah, but what do you think they're actually going to use that though?
For a basketball game, easily.
No, but would they though? They can, yes, but would they?
If the NBA says they're bringing the games back and they're not going to let broadcasters in the stadium, the NBA is going to try to figure out every possible way to make sure that they have a broadcast going on.
Well, yeah, if they say that broadcasters aren't allowed in the stadium, sure, yeah, like for sure, but
I'm just but then you look at some of the other leagues.
They're probably gonna look at trying to have the least amount of people in the arena or the stadium, just so to be safe on that.
Yeah. But then you look at some of the other leagues, like, I mean, CPL, MLS might be able to come back next because they have the smallest rosters. Like, on a game day, you have 18 players dressed.
Yeah, true.
And you can't have any more.
Yeah. And would you then limit like assistant coaches and stuff like that from being on the bench? Would you just have the head coach by himself then?
No. You would have probably a head coach, an assistant trainer, or assistant coach, a trainer, and probably the team doctor.
Mm-hmm. But could these guys not have to be on the pitch? Because I know
the team doctor doesn't. The team doctor probably wouldn't have to be on the pitch, but you'd have to be in the change room.
Right. So I mean, you can even have the assistant coach.
No, the assistant. You would have to have a head coach and an assistant coach on the bench. At least one assistant coach. I would say you probably even two.
Because if you can remotely connect, can it not? Because you can not have your bench sit on the pitch. You can have them elsewhere in the stadium, so they're not in a confined seating environment, and then just be like, hey, I need number 33 to run down, and then they get walked down or whatever with the trainer. They warm up. Pitch side, and then
I think the benefit for soccer is that usually, or at least most of the MLS pitches, right? Like I'm thinking TFC, they have fan seating on the sidelines. So like realistically, you could spread your bench out all the way down the sideline. Right. So and especially as a soccer player, if you asked me to watch the game on a screen and then go warm up and try to get in that game, I would struggle, and I was really good at coming off the bench. I would struggle in that scenario because you don't get the atmosphere of being actually there, feeling what your teammates are yelling, like hearing all the chatter because it's through a screen, right? You can't hear the talk that's going on about, oh, we need to mark this guy. Oh, this guy's doing this, right? That's only stuff that you hear from the sideline. And I know in an MLS game they don't necessarily hear that all the time because the fans are all yelling and yada, yada, yada. But to be down there, get the atmosphere, get the feel of the game is so important. So I would say that they spread out the benches down the sideline, give everyone enough space for themselves. If one player has to go warm up, they go warm up. If two players have to go warm up, they go warm up and do it smartly, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. You allow them to do that. Like I would not be able to come out from the warm-up room and go warm up and then go onto the pitch. I would need 5 minutes in that game to get settled. In 5 minutes in a pro game, you're getting taken advantage of, right? You can't do that. When it comes to sports like, I don't know, maybe basketball, it's a little bit different. Just because you get guys who are sitting on the bench for what the first half's 24 minutes. You get guys who are sitting on the bench for 22 minutes out of the first half, and then they're on for a minute, right? Like, you can sit in the back for 15 minutes and then come join the bench for 5 before you go in, because the coach knows pretty much when he's putting someone in, unless there's an injury, right? And you maybe keep the key players on the bench that you're gonna sub in all the time. So like for the Raptors, you're gonna have like OG Anunoby sitting on the bench because he's the first guy off the bench or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But the other guys might be able to go in the back. Hockey's going to have the hardest problem when it comes to the bench problem because all the players need to be on the bench. Yeah. They need to be side by side, shoulder to shoulder on the bench. Like it's not a thing to have players come out of the change room because they can't. You don't know when your line is going on the ice, right? So that's going to be a struggle.
Yeah, at that point we might see some configuration with the stadiums, right? Like you might see them take off some part of the thing to extend the benches or something, and that might be an option.
They're not going to
It's
do
not
that.
going to happen.
They're not going to do that.
I'm just trying to come up with solutions. And
Yeah,
I'm thinking,
it is. You're right.
how
It
do we
is.
get this back, right?
It is an option, but I just don't see it happening. Like, it doesn't. It's not feasible. Again, I think soccer, when it comes to the bench, has the best scenario because you have the entire sideline. Technically, from where the coaches box ends towards half, all the way down to, well, technically, all the way down to the corner flag, you can have a bench, which is ridiculous, but whatever. Players warm up in behind the net, right? So you have enough space to make it work. It just becomes whether or not they're going to allow that to happen and how many players they're going to allow in the stadium.
Right.
but
that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, honestly, this whole situation is just kind of messed up, and we've who knows when actually things will get back to normal and go as is, or not as is, but as close to as is as you can, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think this whole situation, I think everything's on the table for people, and it'll be interesting for sure to see how weird and wacky some of these sports can actually become with them trying to bend the rules to try and get it back on TV and get going, right? So we'll see.
Again, I don't think there's an issue with getting on TV because remote cameras are amazing.
True.
Whenever a sport comes back, if they don't want broadcasters in, we will have a game done by remote cam, and it will be fine. I could see NBA stadiums implementing one of those sky cams that they have in NFL stadiums.
Yeah, I can see it.
And actually probably put 2 of them in so that, or not, maybe not. I was going to say put 2 in and then have like one follow one team in the attack, one follow the other team, and then just switch back and forth. But it's all up in the air, and broadcasting will be very interesting moving forward. I think this entire thing is going to change sports broadcast shows as we know it. Because everyone is now working from home. They're realizing they don't need the big stadium or big sets and everything to get people to watch. So what they're going to do moving forward is they're probably just going to give people better equipment and do a bunch of shows from home.
Yeah.
Sports Center will obviously remain the way it is, but like shows like First Take and Get Up down in the States, I can see those ones becoming more remote. Again,
Yeah.
What do I know?
Honestly, nobody knows anything right now, which is the biggest thing. So.
For sure. Irfan, you've been quiet.
No, I'm listening because I mean, we really have no real direction of what's going to happen, but we're all doing is trying to speculate, trying to keep ourselves active, and come up with scenarios we think would work best. And that's just all we're going to have to do is keep on that positive train about how do we get our favorite sports back so we can watch. And I'm sure the leagues appreciate fans tuning in or zoning in and like trying to talk about it, because that's what's building the fan base. And we just got to keep doing that. I know the reports keep coming out mid-August that this thing is going to end. Some people are saying November, some people are saying 2021. So I think at this point it's just let's keep positive, let's keep focused on how do we do this, like you said, remotely.
I saw a scary I think it was a score update that the Japan 2020 Olympics CEO said even 2021 is in doubt because of this. And I was just like, oh man, if it is still going on, think about that. That would be, what, July of next year?
Yeah.
Well, if you look at, I'm going to go a little science here, but if you're going to look at the Spanish flu from 100 years ago, that lasted about 15 months, right? And so we're we're not even halfway to that mark. So
Yeah.
if you're looking at a benchmark, that would be something to look at. But we are better equipped to find vaccines. Our medical staff and our medical technology is much, much better. So I hope it's less than 15 months, but like that would be the trajectory of how we're looking forward to
But
it.
15
But
months.
Even saying that, even saying that, they said there's not going to be a cure. Even if they get one, won't be ready for 12 months.
Yeah.
No, because it takes about a year for things to get done anyways, but they're expediting it. And at this point, if you give someone a vaccine, you're going to have some sort of virus in them. So you're going to see a huge spike in symptoms and people that are affected, right? So that's, I think they're working really hard. I think the government, like our government's doing a decent job trying to get ahead of it. And
there's a lot of governments that are doing a good job.
They are very,
Not all of them are, but a lot of governments are doing a good job. Hey, I didn't say anyone in specific, because it's not just one that is not listening. There's a bunch that are not following and doing random stuff, which is unnecessary.
There's different governments doing different protocols, and I think Canada is doing a very good job trying to stay ahead of it because we have the resources to do that.
Yeah.
But I guess to get back on point, I think we're looking at like a 15. I would say that would be a good benchmark to say anything close to there or less would be acceptable.
Yeah, and
which is tough to say,
but 15 months would put us March of next year, right? Or March, April of next year, because January was when it sort of started, right? Is that when we're saying, or are we calling it December?
No, the virus started up like end of November, December in China. So, I mean, you're right. I think March, but if you're looking at us being locked down in March, then it's probably June for us. So you know what I mean? Like anything between next year.
You're basically looking like a year from today, give or take a month, basically.
Oh.
Yeah. But that's why we're trying to be positive. Like, we're gonna. There's gonna be ways. I think we have the resources, like I said, to improve on that.
No, for sure. It'll be interesting to see how sports come back, though. We're excited for sports to come back, but we want to make sure that everything's coming back in the right scenario, like not pushing, not risking anything.
Safety, that's right.
You had mentioned the Players League for the MLB, by the way. Eduardo Rodriguez played 4 games, didn't score a single run. Just saying.
He played 4 games yesterday?
Yeah, they all played 4 games.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm on the MLB website, and they have a whole list of who played who and what the scores were. Joey Gallo went off. So
yeah, he went 4-4.
Yeah.
Good for him. How did Bo do then?
He plays on Sunday.
Oh. Alrighty.
Every day at 9 p.m. Eastern time.
All right. So Bo plays Miami, which is Stanek, Ryan Stanek. Then he plays San Diego, Fernando Tatis Jr. And he plays
Jackson, who's with Atlanta.
Okay. It's listed as Toronto.
I know.
What is going on? And then he plays Lucas Giolito with the White Sox. So, good luck to everyone in that, because that looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it'd be interesting for sure to see how it actually turns out.
Yeah. Anything you guys want to say before we sign off?
No, just stay safe.
Yeah.
Stay home.
Stay safe, stay home, stay sane.
Be smart. Yeah, be smart about where you go and how you interact with the environment.
Like as much as I'm losing my mind being at home, it's for the better. We all know that. So it's just think long term. Don't ruin everybody's summer if you don't have to. Like,
don't ruin your own summer either.
Oh, I don't care about their summer. Just don't ruin mine.
Fair enough. All right. Irfan, any last words?
Nah, man. Like Kyle said, stay safe.
All right. I'm going to echo their sentiment, and I'm also going to say make sure you stay posted with us. We are following the ECPL tournament ad nauseum with the York 9 team. Our interview with Max Ferrari and Feroz Ali is on YouTube. Make sure you give that a listen. Both of them coming off a tough loss to Forge FC in round 1 yesterday. Poor Feroz got to go against Goal Machine.
Yikes.
Goal Machine is one of the top 4 ranked players in the world at FIFA. And Feroz is not an esports.
Showed it yesterday.
And Feroz is not an esports professional. He's pretty good. He didn't play bad. And he still lost 8-0. Like, that's how good Goal Machine is. But they're going to be competing again this Friday. We will have interviews with them probably throughout the week. And we'll be following post-match with them on Friday. So make sure you follow us. Make sure you follow our Twitters, at Nick McVicker, at Kyle Vardy, and at Irfan Manji. We have our own post.
No random numbers in there? Like
I know, we're pretty good, eh?
Wow, that's pretty good.
We're pretty good, eh? I am still doing Nick's Quarantine Dynasty, even though it's been a week since my last game. It's been a busy week in school, so I apologize. Season 3 wills take off.
GM got fired. Spoiler alert, GM got fired.
What? I didn't know this. Hold on, I gotta go back. I gotta go through my emails.
Yeah, Kyle's the owner of your dynasty team. I hope you know that.
Back-to-back Stanley Cup champion, and I get fired? This is crap.
Yeah, sorry.
We just want to test the waters, see if it's the team or the coach that led them to the Stanley Cup. So.
I feel like that is the worst possible scenario for everyone involved.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially because my team is going to be losing half the team due to the cap
restrictions.
Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
let's see how season 3 goes there.
Well, it'll be interesting. I'm gonna make some interesting moves. All right, we're gonna have a different roster, but it'll be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh Jesus. The Colby Cave guy just died.
No.
Oh my goodness.
Oilers forward.
Oh my goodness.
Former Bruins shoot.
Yeah,
Wow.
they just announced he just died.
Oh man, well, condolences to him and his family.
No, absolutely. That's
Wow.
that's crazy. He's 25.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
That's tough. Jeez.
yeah,
Wow.
that's I didn't mean to interrupt there, but
No.
I just got that notification. So
Yeah. Yeah, that guy was in the Boston system for about 5 years, so seen him well. Man.
yeah, so thoughts and prayers go to his family, I guess. So that's
Absolutely.
terrible.
Well, wow. Jeez. I don't really
Yeah,
know
that-
where
that-
to go
that
from
kinda
that.
That kind of took a turn for the worse.
Yeah, it did. Well, with that news, we're gonna end this episode. Condolences to Colby Cave and his family. That is a tough loss during these crazy times. Especially because they probably couldn't have been with him due to everything. So it's really, really hard to hear that. Make sure you tune in next week. We will have a new episode. And for everyone here at Garage Door Sports, stay safe, stay healthy, and we will see you next time.